Hello, good morning. For those of you on the West Coast, it's still relatively early. I guess we could say good afternoon to the majority of everyone. Just kind of depends on when you get up. But I thought I would welcome you. Today we're going a little bit earlier to try to give the people that have the mornings off an opportunity to view an actual live. So we are moving this Sunday night, I think Sunday nights to Thursday mornings, and then we're moving the Friday nights to Tuesday Night Live. So look for a post that's going to be coming later today, just as a reminder for those of you that are joining me. Here's how you find me, because I know for about the last 5 years, our schedule has been the same. It's always been Fridays at 5 Pacific, which has been 7 Central, 8 Eastern, and then I'm trying to think, Sundays. It was always, I think we went 5 o'clock, but then we changed it to a little bit earlier because a lot of people were staying up really late on a Sunday that had to go to work the next day. So welcome today to another design. And I've had this one in the back of my mind for a while. I've bought the supplies, and I bought the supplies about 2 years ago. And because I've gotten such great feedback from you guys about wreath designs on a budget, you like the opportunity to be able to still make a really great quality design and not spend a ton of money. And so this is another one of those designs. So this one can be used for Valentine's Day, but it can be used for every single day throughout the year. So what we're going to be doing today is a heart-shaped rose wreath. I'm going to go over all the supplies with you. But if you find that you really like this, and I'm sure you will, because you could do it with any type of floral and on any type of frame, you're going to want to click the share button and save this tutorial so that it's easy for you to find once you have all your supplies. So if you guys can do me a favor, also make sure you're liking and following this post. It really helps because Facebook, for some reason, just kind of plays with algorithms. So sometimes if we do simple things throughout the video, like click your like button or click the heart button on something that, oh, I like the way she explained that. Oh, I love this idea. If you could incorporate that into your videos, that would be great because it allows the video to be seen by much more of a broader audience. Trying to think of what else I forgot. YouTubers, again, you're going to be catching this from a Facebook Live from earlier. We're trying to arrange stuff. We have so much stuff coming in the weeks. I cannot wait to share it with you. And some of the stuff you're going to kind of see going on as we do lives, because you guys have asked for like upfront video. So you're going to start to see some construction stuff happening back here over the course of the year. So once it's finished, it's going to just be amazing, and I can't wait to show it to you. But you guys all get to be a part of that as well. So I'm going to flip the camera down so you can see what we're doing. So just bear with me one moment. I'm going to go ahead and tilt you down. And there's my lovely morning cup of coffee. Got to have coffee to get you going in the morning, right? Okay, give me just 1 second to make sure I've got my live up and running so I can see all your great comments. Hi, Janine. Hi, LB. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Donna. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Linda. Welcome. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Kathy. Yeah, so I'm going to let it kind of evolve. So I'm not going to tell you guys what I'm going to be doing. We had somebody come over, one of our neighbors, who does construction work. So he gave us some ideas that we hadn't considered before, but I'm like, oh, I still love that idea. But we'll share that with you as it's happening. So we're using the Dollar Tree Heart Shaped Wreath as our frame. So you can buy them bigger if you want them bigger. I think you would probably have to custom order those, probably through like Craft Outlet, 3 Shop, or one of the other supply places. So this is going to be our base for our design. So you will need one of these. You know, based on all the wreaths on a budget, you may want to just pick up a case of these because you can purchase them online at dollartree.com and just have the whole box shipped to you, because we're going to be making a ton of stuff using this form to show you different ways that you can utilize these. And basically, the biggest question I get is, how can we design a wreath that still holds the integrity of the shape so that you can still see that it's heart-shaped? So I think you'll like this design. What you will need to purchase is, and I'm going to show you these. I'm just going to put it right here. You're going to need foam roses. So they come in a wide variety of colors. Sadly, they don't come mixed. But what you're doing is you're ordering about 50 of these, and they come really nicely packaged. So you get like 25 in a pack. And then they already have the long stems on them, so that if you were using them for floral arrangements, you could use those. We have used these in floral arrangements in the past. I just think that they look nice. They hold their shape really well. And so that's why I've opted to use these and not like Dollar Tree. So they do come in every single color you could possibly imagine. After this video, I will go in, and on this video and also in YouTube, I will share the link in where you can purchase these using my Amazon affiliate link. And then you can just order these. Like I said, they come in 50 count increments. So you get them bagged 25 at a pop. And what we're going to do, because I've kind of done the majority of them already, is this is the way they come. We're going to snip off the wire because we don't need the wire on these. So just right at the base of our rose, we're going to go ahead and take that wire off. Here's a great thing. Save all those wires, because remember how many times we need a wire for an additional pick or a wire to help us wire in something. So save all of these. That's a really great reuse purpose. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to be gluing these into the frame into rows. So we're going to focus on the interior row first, because I feel that's the hardest to try to hold the shape. And then we'll be gluing them to the outside too, all the way around, and we're going to have the hole open in the center. You could come back in embellishment, put in a hanging heart-shaped sign if you want, but I think you're going to like the overall look of this design. And here's one of those things. You don't need to spend a ton of money to have a great looking wreath. Like you've seen us in the past make the red burlap heart-shaped wreath with a simple bow. Not a lot of money in materials, but the final result is one that I think you'll be pleased with. So we have the hot glue gun fired up. I have this on high just because, depending upon where our customer will want this, I want it to kind of have extra sticking power. And then we're going to finish up the back at the end. I thought about doing the back, you know, covering up the back here first. But what you'll see is you might need to have access, you know, like once we're adding our florals, we might need to come back in here and tag it a couple more places. If the back was already done, we wouldn't be able to do that. And then also, if there's excess glue that drips, if it was covered, that's going to drip through our burlap backing, and it's going to make the whole back of your wreath look like a complete mess. So we're not going to do that. We're going to do that at the end. So I'm going to start with one, and I'm going to start right here in the center. And I'm going to kind of angle this one a little bit in. You'll find that once you get them all packed in, it's going to create a great overall look. So you can play with your rose and, you know, decide if you want petals hanging down a little bit more to try to help cover that frame. I think that looks great the way that it is. So I am going to, and if you look at this, the way that it's hitting the frame, we have it hitting at the bottom in those 3 places, and then at the top in 2 places. So basically, wherever there's a leg on our floral, the green floral part, is where we are going to add a dab of glue. So I'm going to do it right here, 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 and here. And then I wanted my longer piece hanging down, which is here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and kind of push this in. And if it misses, because we're not exactly 100%, this is where having that glue gun and being able to tag those additional places is going to be key. Just like that. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing all the way around the wreath. I'm going to actually take my silicone mat just to make sure it doesn't stick to my self-healing cutting mat. So there's that one. So we're just going to go ahead and take and just kind of line these up fairly close to one another. You can kind of push them in a bit to kind of get them to, you know, snug down in there. And actually, why don't we just do it this way rather than, I guess it's going to depend on where everything's going to fall. So somebody has asked, why don't you use your glue skillet? Because these are foam flowers, they would just dissolve in that hot glue packet. So we're not going to do that. So here, flipping this over. Okay. Right there. Right there. And right there. And then, of course, gravity, once we flip it over, is going to really hold that in place. Here, we're kind of stuck between the two, so I'm going to look for one that might be a little bit more squished on its rose base. Try to get that one to nestle in there like that, because I want it in that section. Okay, make sure we've got those all going. This will go fairly quick, just like so. And while I'm flipping it over to glue the back, I'm actually pushing and holding those in place. Okay, so as you can see, we want these kind of tilted down a little bit so that they help hide that inside frame. Just like that. Now, I think I'm going to be able to get one in there, but we also want to make sure too that your petals go up and over the wire form. Okay, just like so. It's really easy once you have all of your materials prepped. I'm trying to get one that'll kind of, looking for that petal to flip and fold out. Maybe, can I get this one to do it? I want one that has a petal that leans a little bit more to the outside, like this one. That one's perfect. Okay. Now we need one to go right in the center. And then we'll have one here on the outside edge. Okay, grab another one. I'm going to try to squish that one on in. Anywhere it really is hitting the frame is where I'm adding my drop of glue. What do you guys think of the way that it's looking so far? Because you guys are seeing it, the way it's going to be kind of finished and looking. We're going to move this one in. This one's so pretty because it's got such a nice fold in it. I'm going to grab this one because this is our section where we're kind of squishing a bit. And I have these ones leaning towards the center just so that they cover that inside rail a bit. So they're like tilting to the inside. Okay. We're finishing up this section. And I will tell you when we're finished how many we had. And it was funny because I've done a heart-shaped one on a styrofoam foam, and the result came out absolutely beautiful. And all I did is add 3-inch foam circles, or not foam, felt circles to it. It's probably my most favorite design. So this shows you can still use basic materials and turn out a great quality product. Okay, this one, we're going to use this one, kind of squeeze that one on in right there. Look at how beautiful that looks. And that's just that center section of florals. We haven't even done the outside yet, but see how it's still keeping the heart shape? You can tell it's a heart-shaped wreath, right? Okay, so let's do this one. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead. That's the mess on the back side. So see what I'm saying? Sometimes your glue will drip through. And imagine if you had your, if you decide to use felt, you can use material. You could, like we're using burlap. This would just seep through that burlap, and then you might have all these like little spotty sections. So I chose to wait on that. Okay. Now, here's the important part. When we're doing the bottom, it is imperative for us to place the hearts in between the sections where the other ones are at, which means that down here on the bottom, we're looking for some hearts whose petals kind of will come together and fill this heart-shaped area. So kind of like that. That was a little too big. And we're going to really wedge those in and get the two ends to kind of come together. I'm trying to pull my petals apart so that they'll form a little heart-shaped triangle. Okay, so I'm going to start here with this one. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Pull that up. I'm kind of taking the little petal and kind of creating a little point, if I can, with the petals. Try to pull the one in the center up. I just don't want any of the green from the other ones kind of coming through. Okay. There's that one. And so now we're going to start going around the outside of our form again. Again, looking for ways that you can get your roses in between the other two. So like I'm trying to get this one to kind of fit in here, so it's in between the other two. Just like that. This is going to go right in between. So now everything is in between. This one's going to go right in between the other two. And make sure you take an opportunity to look around the sides. You know, make sure that your roses are covering the edge of your frame, so that if you were to look at it from a sideways profile, that it's covering everything. See, sometimes you just got to spin your rose around so that your petals will cover the areas you want. Okay, so we've got that one in between. We're going to kind of have to get a little creative and do a little squish, because if we were to go one in between here and one in between here, we still have an opening. So we have a little bit of a gap here. So I'm going to fill the gap, just like how we did when we were doing the yarn. We had to kind of make up for the fact that we have a width going around the outside. So now this will fit right in between those two. Trying to make sure that my glue threads are not popping up in here. Doing the same thing here. We've got to add an extra one to get to our corner. And see how I'm just twisting my rose? Like, it's almost like a puzzle piece. Like, we're trying to get something to fit right in between. So every place it touches, I'm just adding my glue. We're going to take this one, plop this one in, but I'm going to try to make a little bit of an indent so that the outside edges are a little bit, so they go a little bit fuller, so that you can still see it's a heart shape. Okay. Got to squish one in. Let's see if we have one that's a little, oh, this one's perfect. Sometimes they come a little deformed, so those are great for just squishing in those smaller spaces. So I'm really pushing it onto the frame so that it's also settling down into the frame, and this one, if we were to look at it from the outside, is not sitting higher than the rest of them. Okay. Flipping this back over. Again, trying to make sure that our flowers line up so that they're staying in between. But as we know, as we go around the outside, we have more that will be needed. We'll get that one to sit in between the two. Here's our outside edge. trying to make sure that I don't squish them so much that the ones on the inside now become compromised. This one's kind of sitting on the bar a bit. And then I need to cut a few more. I have one here. I have a couple more that we'll need to cut the bottoms off of. So again, they come with the wire stem. We're cutting them off so that they don't poke through the burlap on the back side. And then we're keeping all of our stems. Let's see, I think we're going to be looking at about 2 in here. Yes, it'll be those 2 that fill. Okay, 3 more, we'll fill it, and then I will let you know how many grand total do you need in order to fill. And actually, I thought I was going to use a lot more glue than I am. I think gluing them to the back side was beneficial because they'll all stay in place. Back, last one, and that's just going to fit in there nice. Okay. So let me flip this around so you guys can see what it looks like. What do you think? How beautiful is that? And it feels amazing because these are nice and super soft. It's kind of like spongy almost. But that is how you do the front. So the rose heads are about 2.5 inches. So I'm looking at them on my cutting mat. They're about 2 by 2, and then they have some overlap with their petals. So they're about 2-inch heads. So if you're looking for those, you want to make sure you get that size. Otherwise, you're going to be using more of them on the wreath. Okay, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to go ahead and add a hanger before we seal up the back. So I'm just taking plain red ribbon. I'm going to pull this in. Kind of estimate approximately how much I'm going to need. Feed that through. I'm going to go ahead and put a nice little knot in that. I don't like it to hang up too much. Probably right about there would be good. Make sure that's in a nice knot. We'll cut that off. So we've added a hanger right at our indent point, which means that it's going to stay nice and secure. And now we're going to cover the backing. Most of the time when I make wreaths, I don't cover the back. Obviously, in this case, we need something to cover the back. If I was making this for myself, you know, just to hang on my front door or on my wall, would I go through the extent of covering the back? Probably not. But I want to do it in this case just to show you how we would cover it. So you could take felt, and all you're going to do is just glue along the edges of your frame. You're going to need to come in here and cut this so that your open space is not impacted. You can still see light or daylight coming through there. So I'm using 5.5-inch burlap, and I'm going to double it because I want it a little bit thicker, because I don't want to see this on the back. I'd rather it be doubled. Okay. So we're going to come down here at the bottom. This is where I'm going to start. And we're going to glue this along the edge of our frame. And you can see that just by us doubling it, we get the same width that we need for the back. So I'm just going to roll this out. You could take a zip tie possibly and zip tie it, but I want it to stay. So I'm going to be gluing my frame. This will also help lock my flowers in. And I'm just going to do it in sections based on where those rails are. So I'll stop whenever I get to a rail. So we're going to lay this right on the top. Right along our rails. And we're stopping right here. Okay, we're going to flip it around. I am going to put a slight fold in it so we can help it get around the corners. Slight fold, cat, slight fold. It's going to have a bunch of slight folds. Let's see if we can keep the folds all go in the same direction. Just like that. See, I've just kind of folded it ever so gently. And now I'm going to come back in and go around and stop at my rail. Okay, I'm going to lay this back across. Need to make sure I'm hitting my rail though. And I'm going to actually tack these pleats down. Because right now, just the bottom piece that's attached to the rail. So I have all of my little folded pleats. It's always going to get so creative trying to do this part, right? So we're going to have to do another little pleat. We need the width that we get with that pleat. This one's going to go fairly nice. So I'm going to stop when I get to the corner on this one. Same Same thing here, stopping when I get to the corner. Just like this. I will need to tag this one so it'll lay flat. Okay. Let's see, how do we want to do this? Are we going to flip this over? We could, and start doing it from the opposite side. I wanted to try to keep it all the same. So if we do that, so I keep the edge to the inside, it's going to need a big fold right there. This is where my perfectionist overload side comes into play, and I'm like, no, pastel lay the same way. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stop right here at that rail. I'm going to go ahead and tag the front so it'll stick to this rail. We'll glue the fold. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here, just in that little section. It's probably only about 2 inches, but I want to make sure that it like makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not just slapping burlap on the back to just cover it up. I want it to look like we took the same amount of care in putting it together on the back that we did on the front. Okay, now we know we're going to need another pleat in here to get it to go around our sides. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to just kind of play with it to get it to go. This is the one where it's always harder going around. Like, it should just be super simple, but I guess it would be super simple if you were just throwing it on. Just trying to keep the material the same width. And I know I'm going to need another one right here. So let's go ahead and do the outside edge. We'll go ahead and tag this one down. Same thing. Gotta make the turn somehow. So we're gonna go just a little bit forward. We're gonna get that edge. It's always easy on the straightaways. We'll tack this down where our pleat is. Then we're going to come around on our edge. Go ahead and tack this down. trying to pull my burlap back so that it covers. And then we're going to have one final pleat as we get to our straightaway, but let's tag this down right here. Okay. A lot of work just to cover the back, right? I guess not really, if we just want to put any old thing down. I'm trying to keep all my pleats going the same way too. So there's that, and then that'll be our home stretch. So I'm going to go underneath, tag my outside burlap piece. Then we'll do our inside. We need to come back in and tag this, which is where we had our small little pleat. Once we make the corners, everything else is easy. I'm just removing all of my glue threads from the back. And actually I want this to go kind of over the top. So I'm going to cut my burlap here. So we have a slight overlap on this side. Let's go ahead and tack down our other pleat here so that we can do the straightaway. Okay. I'll add this one here. We're stopping at our rails. Now this will also, if you were to put it up to light, if there was any gaps between the roses on the front, you would see it stop there. I'm going to just cut the corner off of this one. I'm going to do a slight little fold. Trying to get this to stop at the same edge where I have it, so that it's folded all the way through. So let's go. We're going here to the corner on the bottom. So here, all the way to the edge. And then we are going to go up along the inside so that we finish that corner. Okay, I'm going to pull this back. We're going to go from the corner all the way down, so that we don't have any parts where like the burlap could potentially fray. And I'm just going to trim up these little ends from our front where we started. And then there is our back. So that's what the back of our wreath looks like. Here's our hanger. All the cosmetics are already hidden. I used about a half a roll of, let's see what the length on this is, 15 feet. So about 7.5 feet of burlap on the back. This is kind of like burlap and roses. But here is our finished design. That's what it looks like. Can't see any of the burlap. Everything is nice and pretty and finished. And I will show you what it looks like on a full-size door. So give me 1 second to flip you guys back up, and that I can answer any questions you have. I gotta make sure this goes high enough so my head's not cut off. A little bit higher. Hold on. Okay. So I'm going to take the angel down, and we're going to hang this up on our door. Just like this. Make sure, this is where you can see all your glue threads. When you put it on a dark door, I think it kind of creates the most big impact. But there you have it. We're all set. This is exactly what it looks like. I'm going to stand over here. So there you go. There is our heart-shaped wreath. Done super simple. You can, like I said, find the foam roses in every single color you can think of. Black, blue, light blue, pink, magenta. Like I said, I think they make a, I want to say they make one that's like a rainbow, like all the colors in one rose. But they don't have an assorted pack where you can get a little bit of everything. But I hope you guys like the end result. I think it turned out really good. And like I said, you can think about this from a marketing side of things. You can use it for Valentine's Day. You can put it above, somebody's bed. If they want to add that to their, master bedroom or over a guest bedroom. It's a great wedding gift, anniversary gift, Mother's Day. And like I said, the fact that you can make them in any single color just makes them so easy to do. I don't have this one listed because I wanted to see how it turned out. But do you guys have any questions? I knew somebody was going to ask that question. How many roses did you end up using? Hang on a second and I'll tell you. I want to say it was 35. But give me just 1 second. Let's pull it down and count. Okay. Hang on 1 second. So I'm going to start with the inside. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 on the inside. So I'm going to write that one down too. Inside. And then on the outside we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I think I said 35, right? It takes 35 roses. So the fact that you buy them in packs of 35, if you bought 2 packages of them, you would have enough for 3 wreaths. 1 package is only going to yield you like a wreath and then change. You would have 15 left, so not quite enough to do another design like this. But that should do it. Joyce asked, where did I get the roses? From Amazon. So I'm going to post my affiliate link. As soon as I finish this, I'm going to go inside and add this to the initial tutorial. So it'll be up in the top where you can purchase the roses from so you get the right ones, because there's quite a few out there. There's ones that are like cheaper and you get 100, but they're not the right quality roses. You want the ones that I use today that are like a 2.5 inch rose head. So I will post that for YouTubers. It'll be in the description box for Facebook viewers. As soon as I finish this, look in this video at the very top. It'll be posted the link that you can go and purchase the same red that I used. All right, any other questions? Hope you guys liked this. Thanks for showing up and joining me today. And I hope you guys all have a rest of a beautiful week and you have an amazing weekend. Other than that, I will talk to you again on Tuesday. That's when you'll see me again at 4 p.m. Pacific, which is 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, everyone, take care and have a great day.